Madam Chair, we're ready to begin the meeting.
Excellent. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our March Meridian Arts Commission meeting. Our mission is to develop, advance, and nurture all facets of the arts to enhance the quality of life for Meridian residents and its visitors. So first we'll take roll. Lizzie Taylor.
Here.
Jessica Peters, I'm here. Natalie Schofield. Here. Patrick O'Leary.
Here.
Bobby Gaitan.
Here.
Anna Scoville. Hopefully Hannah will join us shortly. Okay, can we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Madam Chair, I so move.
I second.
Great, Commissioner Taylor moves. Commissioner Schofield seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Can we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Madam Chair, I so move.
Hey, Commissioner O'Leary moves. Commissioner Taylor seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next, our approval of our monthly financial statements. Can we have a motion?
And Madam Chair, just something to note, we had discussed about the carry forward that wasn't showing up yet. It is now showing up on the budget.
Thank you. Any questions about our financial statement?
No questions. Madam
Alright.
Chair, I move that we approve the statement as written.
All right, Commissioner Schofield moves, Commissioner Taylor seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, our first order of new business are scoring results and awards for the request for proposals for the youth performing arts projects. Cassie, do you want to take this on?
So to give you some background, or the public, if I think most of you have been a part of this process, we released a request for performing arts proposals, and we had 2 applicants. Hopefully in future years, maybe we might have more applicants, but we have enough applicants to do the scoring, and all of the commissioners are acting as the jury for these awards, and ahead of time they have scored all of the applications, and I have printed that out in front of everyone. I'll bring it up on the screen right now as well.
You sure about that?
I will give, it's just,
Oh, you are, okay.
is that showing up okay for you? Okay. So open that up to the commission for discussion.
Does anyone have any thoughts or questions?
Yeah, I was a little confused. I don't know if, because it appeared that Huckleberry had made 2 comments. One, that if we gave them the sponsorship, they wouldn't be charging cast members.
Mhm.
And then later saying, if we get the money, we'll use it for costumes.
Oh,
And I was wondering, did any, and that just kind of threw me off of, okay, which one is it?
Huh.
Yeah, costume, the cost of renting costumes, the money they need to spend in getting costumes that are appropriate from a costume house. I don't think it's, that big a deal, but it was just one of those things that struck me. But they do say, in one, they say they do mention both.
That's a good catch. I think, yeah, it's important to be clear when they're describing what they're going to use the money for. So,
Yeah, because it says cover costumes and script fees, and then they say if we receive a scholarship, we plan to not charge fees to the cast to participate. So, I mean, I don't think that should disqualify them.
Cassie, are you able to pull that up on the screen for us to look at?
It might take a minute, but yes.
Okay, thank you. Along those lines, I noticed someone had mentioned in their comments that the Treasure Valley Children's Theater said they typically charge 300 for participation when the max in the RFP is 250. That was a good catch.
And Madam Chair, they did say that if they're awarded that they would be charging 250. And another thing they didn't appear to put in their application, but something I know that no one has ever turned away for inability to pay. So they have scholarships for all students for Treasure Valley Children's Theater if they need it.
While Cassie's pulling that up, any other questions or comments?
I just think the main one most of us seem to notice was that the Huckleberry Star Theater doesn't have a place to perform in Meridian. And so that was a little disheartening, I guess, or disappointing. Because I did like their proposal when they came out last year and talked to us, and it seems like they have some good ideas. But it kind of stinks to have Meridian Arts money for a performance.
Yeah.
But I think they're on the right track, maybe. I don't know. Would hope they could find a place in Meridian.
And that is something in their application. And when they first reached out, they said, I don't think we're going to be eligible to apply. And I responded that, yes, you did have to have something that's in a Meridian location. So they came up with, as part of their marketing, to do those pop-up sort of performances in Meridian at, I can't remember, 3 locations they promised to do. So then that would bring it to Meridian and also kind of advertise their shows, which are not in Meridian, but would bring something to Meridian.
I think that's great. The only downside is that they're only going to do it if they get the funding, I think. So it would be nice if they were going to do that regardless, and then this would just help kind of subsidize that. But, I appreciate that they want to bring performances to Meridian. I think they were the ones who had that flash mob at the Chalk Art Festival, right?
Yeah.
So they do great work.
What page was it that you wanted to look at?
And I think I know the answer to this, but being new to Meridian, fairly new to Meridian, has the Parks Department at Kleiner Park ever had charged performances out at the, for lack of a better word, the band shell? Yeah, I didn't think so, but
I think
No, it is
everything's
not.
been free.
And it's not something, unless you go to council to say that you're going to charge for something, we cannot charge for things. That's also a beer garden. Yeah, I don't think that would go over probably either. Oh, other events. Yeah, just Parks and Rec does not.
oh, okay. No, I was just wondering whether that would be suitable if there was a way of working with the Parks Department, because that stage is there
Mm.
for them to do performances
Right.
at Kleiner Park. But if it's, I mean, I also realize that it'd be very difficult to set up, to fence all that in and create a access and a pay station in a sense, or a box office.
Yep.
But I just wondered if it had ever happened.
Yeah, I don't know. Patrick, what page did you find the language on in the Huckleberry where they were talking about the confusion about what they were going to charge or when?
It is on, what am I, oh, I'm looking at the wrong one, sorry. One is on their budget on page 13. Where it says, if we receive sponsorship, we will plan not to charge fees to the cast to participate. We have been blessed with sponsorship so far to cover the cost of costumes and scripts for the cast members so that we can make it easier on families. Then I think,
Commissioner O'Leary, are you looking at Huckleberry Star at page 13? Is that, or were you looking at Treasure Valley Children's Theater?
this one is, that's 5 of 13, sorry. 5 of 13 is the second one. And 3 of 13 is the first one. Yeah, this is on 5 of 13, it states the Meridian Arts Commission will be recognized in chief sponsor as a sponsor on our website and social media, our full color printer program, and curtain speech thanking you as a key costume sponsor to allow us to have a large cast.
Okay, so it sounds like they've gotten some sponsorships that cover the cost of costumes and scripts. So this wouldn't be Meridian's funding for that. Yeah, it's not totally clear here, but it sounds like they've got some other sponsorships to cover the costumes and scripts, and then the sponsorship that we would provide would allow them to not charge fees.
So yeah, I mean, and maybe if, and I don't know what within
Oh,
the city of
yeah.
Meridian's
Mm.
viewpoint, if they would prefer being mentioned as relieving costs or children of Meridian being charged a fee
Yeah.
would be better, I would think, than the cost of costumes and scripts.
Mhm. I wonder if this was a copy paste error from a
Probably.
sponsorship application.
Yeah. It happens more than once in a lot of applications.
I'm sure.
So it would be, I mean, I think maybe if just doing if we award them funds on the condition that their curtain speech statement says what we would prefer it.
Well, it would be good to confirm with them what that would be if we awarded them the money.
Mhm.
Sure.
Mhm.
Any other comments or questions about Huckleberry's application or about Treasure Valley Children's Theater? Like they both ranked pretty well. Sounds like we have the funds to award them both. Is that right? So I think we would probably need a motion for what we want to do. Is that right?
Madam Chair, for the record, Hannah just joined us.
Oh, Hannah just joined us. Great. Thank you. Hi, Hannah.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Scoville, are you there?
Yeah, sorry, I had to press some buttons, but I'm here.
Madam Chair, I think it would behoove, I love that word, behoove us to discuss before we discuss how much we would give to each, if it would be half and half or 60-40. I think that would be a good thing to talk about because they're, I think, sufficiently disparate in judging that a straight 50-50 might not be a good idea.
How much
And-
did they request?
Madam Chair, Commissioners, so just to go back to the request for proposals and how it's written, there is a total budget available of $7,000. And applicants were allowed to submit for up to $3,500 each. And each one has submitted for $3,500.
Mhm. Okay. Well, do we have a motion? To determine, to agree, to decide how much we're gonna give to whom?
So moved.
Yep, I think we need a specific motion.
I'm going to withhold on that. I don't want to get very specific. Is this a motion to grant money?
It's a motion to state who we would be providing the funding and how much they would receive. Okay,
So Cassie, since they both requested the max amount and we have the budget, we need to give them that? Or do we need to say, well, will some of it roll over if we say, well, we'll give you 2,000 and hopefully you'll be in Meridian next summer? Or, or do we just, are we bound to give them what they're asking?
Commissioners, that's a very good question. So, Emily, jump in if I'm incorrect here, but the options that the commission would have would be to award no funding. You don't like any of the applications. You could award partial funding, or you could award the full funding. And say, for example, we had 3 applications and you wanted to divide the money up in different ways, you could do that. So that's up to you. As far as the carry forward, no, there's not a carry forward.
So from that, I understand, and because one question I had was, it was amazing they both applied for 3,500. I didn't realize that was a limitation on them. So I think from my standpoint, it would be, since we only had those 2 applications, to award them and then get a clarification on what the Huckleberry will specifically be used for from them.
Commissioners, yes, I can work with the organizations and because they'll be required to enter into an agreement with the city. So can work out some of those details with the city. Just let me know if there's something specifically that you would like for it to go to, let me know what that is so that I can write it as such.
So I'm thinking how's the best way to state this. If we make a recommendation to fund Treasure Valley's Children's Theater for their full amount, and then make a qualified recommendation for funding to Huckleberry Theater based on clarification of how the funds will be used. And once we have clarification of that and approve it, which we'd probably have to do at the next meeting, Cassie?
Madam Chair. This is
Yes,
Emily. I don't know if you can
Emily.
see me. I hope it sounds like you can hear me. So this is kind of a take it or leave it we have to decide on the basis of the proposals submitted. So we can't really ask for further information or clarification.
So, yeah, so Patrick, what Cassie was saying was that we would need to state what we want to, so for Huckleberry, if it's not clear, we would have to state, for example, that we propose funding, providing them X amount of funding to be used to cover the cost of participation fees, for example. So what Emily is saying is we can't go back to them and ask for clarification regarding what they want to use the money for. We would just say, we're going to give them the money, but they have to use it for this. And then if they don't want to, then we won't give them the money. But I don't think that they will not take it.
Madam Chair, this is Bobby. I move that we award the maximum sponsorship that they're asking for, $3,500 each, to be used according to what they put down on the application. It's $3,500 each.
Second the motion.
All right, Commissioner Gaitan moves, Commissioner Schofield seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Sort of.
Okay. The ayes have it.
Commissioners, just for clarification, Lizzie, a yes or a no or an abstain would be.
Okay.
Abstain.
Okay, thank you, everyone. The next item of new business is volunteering. Commissioners needed to judge the West Ada School District show. So that's a show that happens every year, and the winners of that show are put onto traffic boxes, I think in the Meridian Development Corporation area, right, downtown?
Madam Chair, yes, in the past, that has been where they've gone. All of the urban renewal area boxes are covered.
Okay,
So they would not go there unless we'll still do some maintenance and checking on them. So if there are any that need to be replaced, then we would still do it in that area. But probably they will go in other places in the city since all of those boxes in the urban renewal area are wrapped.
that sounds good.
Chair, might I ask what day of the week April 11th is?
The Tuesday.
I'll be there.
I would be there, but I won't be in the country. But I've done it before and it's really cool. It's a lot of fun. So if you guys are able to join in, I highly recommend it.
Is this a visual arts exhibit, show?
Yep. It's a student art show. Yeah. And they have 2D and 3D art.
I could. Madam Chair, this is Bobby. I can volunteer to be the third commissioner
Excellent.
for the 11th.
Great. Thanks, Bobby. All right. So we have Commissioners Schofield, Taylor, and Gaitan. Looking forward to seeing what you guys select. That's cool. Okay, on to reports. So we have public art projects update, and I'll note, I'm sure Cassie will mention this too. The Public Art Subcommittee did not meet in February. We took the month off, so.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. So some updates, and I think I forgot to put the 5 Mile Creek Pathway Trailhead project on there, but here's a postcard from Eileen, so you can see the structures. And inside those structures are the steel forms. And so she, in the next few months, will be working on the concrete and mosaics to do the tiling on each of those pieces. So she is in progress.
Those look big.
They do. She said, I think they're 8 foot, they're like 8'3" or 4. So she said she's a little bit short. But
Well, also they're on scooters or something, on dollies, yeah. So they'll be a couple inches shorter, but still.
In other news for Discovery Park, I've been working with all 3 of the artists and artist teams on task orders for their proposals. 2 of them have already signed the task orders. One of them I need to do a little bit more work because we're looking at bike racks, and it might actually be 2 separate proposals, one for the bench seating and one for the bike racks, because they might not go quite in the same area. Because as I was talking to the superintendent, maybe it doesn't make as much sense to put bike racks at the bike park, because people will not be going to the bike park and locking up their bikes. They'll go to the bike park and then they will bike to a different area of the park to lock up their bikes. So working with him a little bit to on his task order, but all of those proposals will be due April 28th, and then developing a public input phase in May. So that's where we're at with those projects. Transit shelters with the Valley Regional Transit. I've been in communication with them about kind of the first step is some sort of agreement with their stops. And so options might be an easement or a site license or something else. So he was going to talk to his team and get back to me on what kind of agreement that we want. But I think it's probably not too early. In the next public art meeting, we can talk about the call and what the call would look like, and eligibility requirements and desired outcomes for those. So, and then the pool mural, I just touched base with Sector 17, and they're on schedule to install in April, as long as it's not snowing in April.
Might.
Right, at this rate it might be, but and have tentative ribbon cuttings scheduled for the pool mural and for Tully Skate Park, both on Friday, May 19th. The pool would be in the afternoon at 12:30, and then Tully Skate Park at 4. And then directly following the ribbon cutting at Tully is Prestige doing a skate competition. And then I'm starting to work on a 2-year work plan, just to have something sort of laid out for all of the various projects that we're doing. I don't think that'll quite be ready for the next public art subcommittee meeting, but I talked to a couple of other cities and they kind of do this, just like updating a workflow plan, which I think will help when we have numerous projects that come up, and sort of like putting them somewhere on that plan and when they might be either discussed or completed, will be helpful. And then the public art master plan, we haven't talked about this for a while, looking at how to complete that plan. And I'm currently working with the department and looking at the possibility of getting some funds in the budget for the coming fiscal years. And so you might notice we also have our budget manager, Brad, here. I had been meaning to ask Brad to come in and just kind of talk about like the city's budgeting process. So he is going to go over the budget process and give you an idea of kind of where we're at now for potentially for where the public art plan might be. For what those funds, for what the process is. Yeah.
Welcome, Brad.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners. There is one slide that I have that shows the budget development process. Hopefully we can get that up here in just a second. It's a 9-month process. We're at the beginning stages of it right now. And one more over. There we go. Okay, so we're in the beginning stages of it right now, being in March, where we're developing budget items. Right now, we're looking at calendar year 24 or fiscal year 24. You know, our fiscal year begins in October 1st, ends in September. And so we're beginning looking at and planning for, you know, what budget requests, what the budget looks like for 24 at this point in time. At the very beginning, we begin considering base budget type of things. I think we have some projects in the base budget, like concerts on Broadway, things like that. Coming in April, we begin looking at budget requests. The art plan could be one of those type of things as part of that discussion. There is, you know, for the city code, you have the 66,000 that is allocated based on the population. That comes in at that point in time. We begin looking at those things, considering what's to be included in the budget at that point in time. And then we take those items to be included to council as part of our balancing act in June, where we have a workshop where we discuss any items that the council members have, questions, concerns. Departments present them to council. We take their feedback and then go to the public in a public hearing. And after that public hearing, no other questions, council members at that point would approve that budget. That usually happens in July, August timeframe. With that approval, we then, you know, get that is put in a council resolution where it's then appropriated beginning, so we can begin executing the budget on October 1. If any changes to that budget needs to happen after we've gone through the initial setup, there is amendment process that we follow to amend any budget if grants come in, things like that, where you know, we need some additional approval from council for things that we weren't aware of when we went through the initial budget process. Overall, it's, you know, about a 9-month process. As I mentioned earlier, you know, right now we're considering, you know, FY24 items. So, you know, with that, any questions from Madam Chair or any of the commissioners, happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Brad? All right.
Ooh, yep. Brad, I just had one question. You said the commissions, the Arts Commission's budget's based on population or percentage of population?
Yeah, Commissioner O'Leary, there is a part of that where, yes, I believe it is part of the population. There's a calculation that goes in. It was at one point capped at 50,000. In this last year, council opted to increase that. Right now it's around 66,000. I'm not sure if an adjustment to the city code has been made, but at this point, yeah, it's about 66,000, at least in the FY23 budget.
And is that based on the whatever 10-year census, or is it calculated based on new house builds? And
I believe that I'm not completely sure on that. I think it's based on census, Madam Chair. If you
Yeah, so to kind of fill you in, Patrick. So what Brad is talking about is the public art budget. So there's an ordinance, the Meridian Art and Public Spaces Ordinance was passed in 2015 that designated 50 cents per resident for the installation of permanent public art. It used to be capped at 50,000 residents. And that cap has been, or excuse me, 100,000 residents, and that cap has been removed. So it's the amount that we get is based on the population estimate each year. So that is updated for Meridian each year. And then the amount that we receive is updated based on that population.
thank you.
thank you. Good question.
And commissioners, sorry, just to further give some information. So that budget in particular is for the has to be visual, public art. There's also the base budget of the Arts Commission that's not part of the public art budget. Although when we look at the budget, it's in together, but so that's not based on population. That's kind of set every year.
Great. Thank you, Cassie. Any comments or questions about anything related to public art? Okay. Next item, initial point gallery update.
Madam Chair and Commissioners, the current exhibit, which is absolutely beautiful, and it was beautifully hung. Thank you very much, Cassie, for your attention to detail as to how it looks. It looks absolutely professional. It's wonderful. The artist is Mark Schaber. Solo exhibit yesterday and today. Opening reception was on Tuesday, the 7th of March. How many people came to the opening?
I believe it was 40 something, 43, 46,
45.
45. All right.
Well, the artist also hired a PR person or representative or whatever and got absolutely fabulous coverage for the show, for himself, Boise Weekly, radio, TV. He was every place that week. Anyway, if you haven't seen the show, go and see it. On a personal note, I want to say that I'm a little dismayed that more commissioners don't attend the opening. I know everybody is busy with kids and families and whatever, but it means, as an exhibiting artist, I know how much it means to have people come and see your stuff. I mean, you can take 15 minutes out of your busy schedule. The opening receptions start at 4:30. Just show up. Wear your badge, introduce yourself to the artist. I'll tell you, you'll make their day. It really means a lot. I try to go to every one. I don't think I've missed one in 2 years anyway, but that's beside the point. Okay, the next exhibit is going to be from Treasure Valley Artists Alliance, TVAA. It's a show that is going to be called Let the Sun Shine. TVAA typically has a color theme rather than an open theme, and Let the Sun Shine, it's going to be, as far as I know, kind of in the yellow category. Their color shows are always very spectacular. TVAA made a bit of a change this year, which unfortunately was not particularly well publicized, in that they limited the size of work that could be submitted to 432 square inches. Well, that ain't very big. That's about 20 by 20. So I don't know the condition of the applications. I know that I could not submit because my piece, because either I didn't read the prospectus early enough or it wasn't publicized well enough. My piece was too large, so fine, so be it. But I'm still going to host the show. TVAA has a lot of members. They'll have a lot of pieces, but unlike in past years, there will be a preponderance of smaller pieces to meet their size requirements. So anyway, that's on Tuesday, April 4th, and I'd really love to see all of our commissioners there. Just drop by. Thank you.
See, I will tell you that I work on Tuesday nights, but I do attend almost every hanging, so.
Yeah,
You get a pass.
yeah, you get a pass.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, thanks, Lizzie. I know I'm guilty of not coming to as many as I should, so I'll make a better effort to come. Last item, recognition. So I think Lizzie, you were going to introduce this.
Yes, I'm very, very happy to tell you that Meridian artist and longtime IPG volunteer, our very own Joyce Green, who many of you know, and if you don't, you should get to know her. She is a force of nature, was juried into one of the most prestigious art shows in the country, in fact, in the world. It's called the American Watercolor Society's International Exhibit. This is the big time. I mean, this is a huge, huge show. Joyce is one of 163 artists who were selected for the show, which is held at Salmagundi Gallery in Greenwich Village. I kept calling the American Watercolor Society, but they chose not to return my call for whatever reason, because I wanted to find out how many applicants there were. And given the prestige and the internationality of this, I have to think that it was in the high hundreds and possibly in the thousands. I mean, this is one of the biggest shows in the entire country. Joyce is going to be there. We're so happy for her. This is only the fourth time in 40 years that Joyce has gotten in. And to get in twice is major. To get in 3 times is like, holy moly, but 4 times is absolutely unheard of. So our own Joyce Green, very, very happy for her.
Awesome. Thank you, Lizzie. Yeah, that's great news to have a local artist in such a large prestigious exhibit. That's pretty cool. Another note of recognition, Emily, I hope we're allowed to do this. Wanted to note that Lizzie's piece is going to be on the cover of the Boise Weekly next week. Hooray. Great job, Lizzie. Did you want to tell us a little bit about the piece?
I would like to tell you just a little teeny bit about the piece. It is a collage of silk fabric. The fact that it's silk has nothing really to do with it, but it's silk ties and pocket squares that had belonged to a man that Woody met in undergraduate school at St. Louis, at Washington University in St. Louis. They met in 1960 and became very, very close friends. Most unfortunately, Doug died of colon cancer about a year and a half ago. And I asked his wife if I could have some of his pocket squares and ties to do a silk collage, and she obliged. And so I did it. The piece is called By Design. It's not a big morbid thing, but the hook that I got with the Boise Weekly was that March is, of all things, National Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. Not something I spend a great deal of time thinking about, but the hook was just so obvious. So it's going to be on the cover of the Boise Weekly next week. Thank you.
Great. Congrats, Lizzie. And go get yourselves checked out. Don't put it off. Very important. Can save lives. Okay, final item on the agenda, inclusivity highlight, and I'll hand it over to Natalie.
Oh, thank you. Okay. My microphone on. Okay, in order to continue the Meridian Art Commission's goals of arts access, goals support experiences in the arts for everyone, regardless of age, race, ability, or other protected class. The commission may occasionally include inclusivity highlights at various meetings in order to learn and promote inclusive arts and practices. So I consulted the calendar that Cassie had provided of different things to look at each month. So March 23rd is International Day of Remembrance of the Victims of Slavery and the Transatlantic Slave Trade. So in remembrance of this day, I'd like to share the artwork of New York architect Rodney Leon's piece. It's called The Arc of Return. This piece is a permanent reminder of the more than 18 million women, men, and children who were taken into slavery. There's a couple links that I put down there. He has a website with a lot of his, which Cassie's showing now with images of the piece. I believe it's placed at the UN. And then there's a video you can watch from the United Nations website. And then there's a virtual tour as well. The one quote that I liked was from the president of the General Assembly of the United Nations, excuse me. Today, people of African descent continue to confront racial discrimination, marginalization, and exclusion. The political, economic, and structural power imbalances rooted in colonial rule, enslavement, and exploitation still deny equality of opportunity and justice. On this International Day, let us stand united against racism and together build societies based on dignity, equality, and solidarity. And I thought he used that in 2020, but obviously still pertinent in 2023. So I would encourage you to check out the artist's website and also the videos. I just think it's a really stunning piece and it, yeah, that's all.
Great. Awesome. Thanks, Natalie. Yeah, that's really cool. We don't talk about the connection between architecture and the arts, but really there's a link there and for a very important cause as well. So very cool. Thank you. Okay, we're at the end of our agenda. Our next meeting is scheduled for April 13th. I know I won't be here, so Natalie may be chairing that. And it's possible that if we don't have updates, we may cancel the meeting and just have like an email update instead. So stay tuned for that. Any final comments or questions from any of the commissioners? Not looking for a motion to adjourn. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There's more posters right behind you too.
Cool. Hey, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Madam Chair, I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Madam Chair, I second.
Hey, Commissioner Taylor moves, Commissioner Gaitan seconds. All in favor? Any opposed? Too bad. Have a good evening, everyone.